The Magic of Emotional Intelligence, written by AbiolaChamp and read by Akindele. Chapter 12. Anxiety. Anxiety is a state of distress resulting from thoughts concerning our uncertainties and fears. These fears could be real, imagined, reasonable or unreasonable, or strong enough to make us feel threatened, nervous and apprehensive. When we are anxious, our body reacts in a similar way as when we are afraid. We experience rapidly irregular heartbeats, sweating, loose bowels, weak muscles, lack of concentration, dizziness, and so on. Extreme anxiety might occur when you feel overwhelmed by the physical and mental feelings of fear. People who have experienced this usually complain of shortness of breath and worry that they might have a heart attack. I once heard of an elderly lady who was flying for the first time. She was traveling to England to witness her grandson's graduation. She had been worried about the duration of the journey and numerous plane crashes reported in the news. Mid-air, she broke into serious sweating and fell to the ground. Luckily for her, there was a doctor on the flight who placed a paper bag over her nose to regulate her breathing and diagnosed her condition as a panic attack. While anxiety comes almost naturally to each one of us, we don't have to waste our energy fighting it. We only need to recognize anxious thoughts and label them worries. This will help us move on fast from them and enter into a state of rest and ease. Please note that it is fine to be concerned about something, but unproductive to worry about it because anxiety only cripples you and prevents you from taking any actual steps to avert the impending doom. Strategies for handling anxiety. Identify the trigger of your anxiety. This refers to the source of your anxiety. It could be the fear of the unknown or the seriousness of the situation or any other reason. Regulate your breathing. If you purposely breathe out longer than you breathe in, your body will calm down regardless of the anxiety you're feeling. If possible, distance yourself from worrying situations. Excusing yourself from the disturbing environment might help calm you down a little. Focus on the solution. Rather than focusing on the problem, focus on the solution. There is always a way out, so don't waste your time by obsessing about the problem. Keep a journal. This will help you to keep a record of how you've dealt with similar issues in the event that they arise again in the future. It can also help you analyze your thoughts as you write them down. Decide against dwelling on worrisome thoughts. There's a popular saying by Martin Luther King Jr. You can keep the birds from flying over your head, but you can't keep the birds from flying over your head, but you can keep them from building a nest in your head. In other words, you can choose to redirect your thoughts and meditate on positive ones. Cultivate contentment. If your anxiety is typically caused by thoughts of inadequacy or present and future needs, cultivate contentment. The Magic of Emotional Intelligence, written by AbiolaChamp and read by Akindele. It is still your number one family radio, Inspiration 92.3 FM. Thank you for sticking with us. If you just joined us, welcome to the show. This is the Tea Break right here on Inspiration 92.3 FM. And here's the On-Air Book Club on the Tea Break. My name is Akindele, and we have our author in the studio, AbiolaChamp, the writer or the author of the book Magic of Emotional Intelligence. Hello, Abiola.
Hello, Kiki.
All right. The Magic of Emotional Intelligence. Why did you decide to write this book?
Okay, so I wrote this book because a few years ago, a friend of mine reached out to me to say happy birthday on my birthday. And he said that, when I see you teach people emotional intelligence, I think they don't really know what it is that you're talking about. And I thought that, young man, how can you come up with that? How can you think that way or say what you're saying? So I get to facilitate these sessions for organizations, for senior leaders in organizations, and these people are paying good money. And then you are saying to me that they probably don't know what I'm talking about. And they keep coming back. So if they continue to come back, it means there's some value that I'm delivering. So why are you saying this? And he's my friend, and as friends, you could at times just say whatever you like. But I realized that he wasn't saying whatever he liked. And what he said is that the reason he mentioned that to me is because his experience on emotional intelligence had nothing to do with what I was teaching, but about what I was doing. And it's about what I did many years before when we had a project to work on. And he said as at that time, we did not know about emotional intelligence, so he couldn't qualify my behavior, my response to the situation as having high emotional intelligence. He said many years later on, when he stumbled on emotional intelligence, that scene keeps playing in his mind. And this is a scene that happened 20 years ago. It will be exactly 20 years. Today is 20th, today is 21st. It will be exactly 20 years in 2 months' time. That's the 19th of July, 2001. That's where it happened. I know you're probably curious that, okay, so what's the event?
We'll get there. But before we go on, let me just tell you a bit about AbiolaChamp Salami. Now, at this point, you might want to sit back, relax, because this profile is one of those ones with muscle. It has entered the gym. As gym well fed. So, AbiolaChamp Salami is an award-winning performance coach committed to raising world-class leaders and improving the productive capacity and brand perception of organizations and governments. He is an alumnus of Harvard University, Lagos Business School, and American Government's International Visitor Leadership Program. His commitment to workforce productivity, youth and women empowerment, as well as leadership development, led him to publishing books, audio and visual content, as well as implementing programs towards achieving the relevant sustainable development goals. He is the author of Get Mad, You Can Make a Difference, Who Says It's a Man's World, and his latest work, The Magic of Emotional Intelligence. Abiola has acquired over 10 years experience of corporate engagement and capacity development with signature interventions such as Speak Like a Champion, a productive communication program, The Magic of Emotional Intelligence, From Boring Tales to Fantastic Sales, a selling and relationship management program, Improving Team Performance, a productivity and synergy activation program, Inspiring Attitudinal Improvement, a performance improvement program, Developing Executive Presence, an image perception enhancement program, and Exceptional Leadership, a comprehensive leadership development program. In the wake of the coronavirus pandemic, Abiola championed a campaign that reached over 1 million people in handling panic in the wake of coronavirus. He also released a free ebook on how to enjoy sound emotional and mental health during the coronavirus pandemic. In 2020, he was recognized as one of Africa's most influential coaching leaders by the Duo of African Leadership Awards and World HRV Congress. In 2020, he was also recognized in the Global 100 list of most influential people of African descent as part of United Nations 75th General Assembly. Over the years, notable names who have made the list include Naomi Osaka, Trevor Noah, Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, Tyler Perry, Beyonce Knowles, amongst others. He prefers to impact and influence by adopting a practical approach replete with vivid stories and experiences. When he is not delivering talks and coaching champions, he spends time reading and hanging out with friends, playing the piano and acting on the screen. You can connect with him at www.abiolachamp.com. We'll get to more on that. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome AbiolaChamp Salami. Wow. So much. So is there anything you're not doing?
There's a lot that I need to do. Like we were saying before, it's small. But
whether he was a musician or not, and then he says small.
Yes.
He just says small. Well. All right. So I want to be like that your friend that you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Because I feel he was coming from a place, like you said. So there are people that understand what emotional intelligence is, which is why, you know, we thank God that they keep calling you, okay, come and talk to us about this. But then there are other people who feel like emotional intelligence, that's big man's English. I don't, what's my business with emotional intelligence? My school intelligence is enough. Why do I need to be emotionally intelligent? So what is it about emotional intelligence that gets to you, that made you feel like, okay, I need to start, you know, working in that field, and even down to writing a book about emotional intelligence?
Okay, so what is emotional intelligence? That's your question, and it's a great question. It's our capacity, every one of us, you and I, everybody listening on this show, our capacity to manage our emotions, to first understand our emotions, and by virtue of our understanding of our emotions, we manage our emotions. It doesn't end there. It also now progresses to understanding the emotions of other people, and by virtue of the knowledge we have of their emotions, we build rewarding relationships with them. So it begins with me paying attention to my emotions, understanding the trigger for my emotions. Some people will say, you know what, when anybody says this, I get angry. I just get angry, and once I'm angry, I can destroy whatever. I can say,
only my mommy that can calm
exactly. And some people even say that, yes, it's only my mommy that can calm me down. My mommy is no more alive, so nobody can calm me down. And people claim that emotion as though it is strength, as though it's something to be proud of. Whereas in many ways, that works against us. You know, when we cannot control our emotions, it works against us. Then you won't be as productive as you're supposed to be on the job. And by the way, a lot of people know our triggers. You know, I like to call triggers mumu button. A lot of people know this mumu button. And so what they do is they press it. When they press it so they have fun, or they press it to distract you from what you're supposed to focus on. And when we say emotions, a lot of people think that, oh, so it's only about my capacity to manage myself when I'm angry, you know, or when I'm afraid, you know, or when I'm anxious, like what you read, you know, earlier about anxiety. But it's not only about negative emotions. It's also about positive emotions, which is how to cultivate positive emotions and then how to manage positive emotions. You know, confidence, for example, is a positive emotion. And every now and then people will talk about building confidence. But from my work, I realized that you don't only build confidence, you also need to learn to regulate confidence. There is a way you will talk confidently to certain people and you come off as great. I mean, that's a fantastic guy, I want to always roll with. There's the same way you may approach another set of people with that same level of confidence, and to them it is pride. Right, so or arrogance. Yes, so it's always important. That's why it's always important that we pay attention, you know, to one, understanding my emotions, and then I also understand how to manage myself based on the knowledge I have. Some people know that certain things gets them angry, and instead of ensuring that they control what gets them angry at that level, they leave it. They're angry, and then they cannot control the anger when it comes. And emotional intelligence teaches us that not that you won't feel angry. You would feel angry, but the decision you make based on the feeling of anger is where that intelligence comes in. I mean, we've all gone to school, and then from primary school, secondary school, university, higher degrees, all we've learned in those schools is how to improve our IQ, our intelligence quotient. But what really makes our IQ function to the extent to which we can apply it is how well we can also manage our emotions. So imagine an engineer, you know, that's, I mean, first class graduate engineer, maybe he's an electrical engineer. He knows how to fix whatever it is. You know, he's probably the best in his class, and not just best theoretically, best in practical terms as well. But this individual cannot manage his emotions. This person doesn't have the courage to even have a conversation with people that could help with his business idea. You know, this individual perhaps gets angry without control. You know, this individual is always anxious and cannot manage the anxiety. These emotions can erode the talent that he has, which is why it's important for every one of us to pay attention, you know, to cultivating emotional intelligence so that we can be best at whatever it is that we're doing.
So, just taking you back a bit, I when you started talking about emotional intelligence, you said emotional intelligence is the ability to control your own emotions. So before I used to think that emotional intelligence was just being able to manage other people's emotions. So when there's that's where sensitivity comes. You understand that someone is going through something, because there are certain things you don't say or do. But now that you're saying you have to be able to control your own emotions, that's one thing I'm holding in my hand. Now the reason I read, I'm sure you probably guess the reason why I read anxiety.
Okay.
It's because there's a lot of anxiety outside, especially in Nigeria right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of fear. What do you have to say to people that are going through so much anxiety and so much fear right now?
Right now.
What can you tell them to do in order to move away from it or get out of that situation?
Great question, Kiki. Somebody said that fear is false expression appearing real. However, with a lot of things that we see around these days, some of those things are not false, and they could be responsible for how much of fear that we start to develop. Also about how anxious that we get. The critical thing is to understand that there are things we cannot control, and there are things we can control. The challenge is many times we focus on the things we cannot control rather than focusing on the things we can control. Now, there are a lot of things happening out there that, except you are maybe a political figure who is probably in charge of a jurisdiction, maybe a local government, a state, or a country, if you are not that person, you may not have the power to control whatever else is going on out there. So what we all have control over as regular citizens of the country, what I have control over is checking how I allow what I hear, the things that people talk about, how I allow that to get into me and affect me. There are times, because of the things happening, a lot of people are now less creative. Not because they were not creative before, but because they continue to open their minds to things that feed them with anxiety. And as it feeds you with anxiety, it reduces your creativity. So what you want to do is to pay less attention, to the things that feeds your anxiety. In fact, whether you listen to some people or not, there's a measure of anxiety inside of every individual. So the people you listen to will either fan your anxiety and it becomes bigger, or they help you to reduce it. So what you want to pay attention to, every one of us, is watch the content you consume, and I think that's a broad word for it. Pay attention to the content you consume. Don't consume content that will make you more anxious than you are already. So what you watch on TV, what you listen to on radio, that's why Inspiration FM is a great station, by the way, bringing you a content like this. And what you also consume on social media. And by the way, that's when you have more control over it, what to watch on social media. So, and it is one thing to pay attention to what you watch. It's another thing to also, please, as people are listening, watch what you also share via social media. Some people, you find some video somewhere about something happening somewhere. You've not even verified the authenticity of the video. Then you just share it with everybody, and then people are afraid. People are fearful. People just want to elope somehow. Whereas the video you've shared is probably something that happened many years ago in a different jurisdiction. So these two ways will help us to manage our anxieties.
So who would you say this book is for? I already have the explain the answer, but who would you say this book is for? Who would you say should get this book?
So this book is primarily for everybody who is listening to me right now, especially if you are in the age bracket of the working population. I mean, the UN will tell us working population is between the age of 18, and 60. Some people will say it's 45. Some people will say it's 50. But let's just use age of 18 to 60, because this will help you if you're still looking for a job, for example. This will help you to put your right foot, you put your best foot forward always. If you're already working and growing in your career, this will help you to always make the right decisions, to cultivate rewarding relationships with your colleagues, with your boss, with customers. And even if at the peak of your career right now, it will still help you as well to lead effectively so that you can get the best from your team. So it's for that group of people.
So how can we get this book?
Okay. So the website is www.AbiolaChamp.com. I know I need to take that again and slower. It's www.AbiolaChamp.com. And if you follow me on social media, every social media handle is at AbiolaChamp. So follow me on social media, on Instagram at AbiolaChamp. Send me a DM there. We'll give you further details. On Twitter is at AbiolaChamp as well. Tweet at me. We'll send you details. And by the way, the great thing is that book is available in print for those who still like to hold books. It is available as ebook, for those who say, what, I prefer to read an ebook. And those who say that, I don't have the patience to read at all, I just want to listen. It's also available on audiobook. So whichever format you want, we have you covered.
All right, Abiola, 30 seconds. Final words. 30 seconds.
Great. So for everybody listening to me right now, no matter your situation, no matter where you are, I believe that inside you lies a power. And that power is for you to become a champion. And the way for you to live every day like a champion, even if you've not won any laurels yet, is to commit to developing yourself. Commit to using your competence, your character, your creativity, your compassion and courage to make a positive difference everywhere, every day.
All right, thank you very much. You've heard it from the champ himself. You too, you can become a fellow champion. Yes, like he said. All right, thank you very much for being a part of the show. We hope to see you more when, more books.
Sure.
More books, more books. We hope to have you on the show again. It is still your number one family radio, Inspiration 92.3 FM. At 11:30, it will be time for the headline news. And after that, Family Today with Pastor Fumi Johnson. All right, so stick around. Do not go anywhere. It is Inspiration 92.3 FM. Stay tuned.
Thank you for having me, Kiki.
You're welcome.